It's time, boys and girls. You see, for a while now, I've been wanting to talk about a Yu-Gi-Oh! 7 subject, but I was never sure if I could make a full video of it on its own, and I kind of figured we'd get to this point in the show where I would be able to just organically talk about it, so I figured I'd give it a little while, and we're here. We are here. Our characters have reached a pit of old Duel Discs. That is right. The neglectful parents of this world do not care that their children are running around mines, probably with very little oxygen, and God knows what else could hurt them, but they've made it, god damn it, and some very interesting world-building implications have been brought up here today. The thing is, world-building and Yu-Gi-Oh! Kind of fit together in the same way hot fudge would fit in a salad. On the one hand, it sounds like it could taste really cool, but on the other hand, no, those two things are not supposed to go together for some very fundamental reasons. Many people obviously have been able to tell over the years that world building and cohesiveness between the different Yu-Gi-Ohs is not a priority. It's to make the coolest and craziest plots possible. I.e. the biggest example being, where the fuck does 5Ds take place in the timeline in accordance to GX? Because is it like where GX is specifically said to be 10 years after DM? But that can't work because the technology is so far advanced. Also, that would mean Yusei's, the events of his birth and the satellite had to have happened before GX even fucking happens. But at the same time, Ushio, I think is his name, I don't remember, is the guy who beats up Joey and Tristan in the original, so yeah, it's a whole fucking mess. And then you get into Zale, where the technology has actually, in some ways, gone backwards and feels more like it could be in the real world. And then Arc 5 is alternate dimensions, so could the other ones be set in alternate dimensions? Where does Vrains fit in? Because Vrains has all the summoning methods and once again pushes the technology very far. And here you've got Sevens, where like at some point Big Brother took over, and it's a full range of just insanity. It makes absolutely no sense. But if we're going to try and apply some logic to it, I can at least give y'all this much. We are going to discuss things today under the very simple parameters that each Yu-Gi-Oh! Is approximately 10 years apart. And, like, GX took place over the course of, 3 years. 5Ds, I want to say, was maybe, 2. Zexel was 1. I don't know what the fuck you count Arc 5. Vrains, I want to say, is also probably about a year. So let's go about 75, 80 years in the future, give or take. And also, let's assume DM takes place... is where it gets weird, because you also got to factor in the manga. Let's assume DM ends when the anime ended in 2005. So let's just make it easy and say 80 years. It's 2075, baby. That is when we are taking place. And they found an archaeological site of old Duel Discs. What does this mean? Y'all may be thinking, how does this work or function? Why would a company just throw out advanced technology like this? Here's my theory. So, maybe some of y'all have heard of this. I'm sure a lot of you have. But when the E.T. Atari game came out in the 80s, after a lot of hype and a lot of build-up, and even being presented by Spielberg himself, it was so horribly received. They just took them all and threw them in a landfill, and this almost destroyed the video game industry. Look it up. It's insanity. But yeah, so that is my theory here, and that is Goha was attempting to get the hologram technology contract alongside Kaiba Corp. If you remember, and I say if you remember, like as if I actually remember any of this, if you remember, the hologram technology used in Duelist Kingdom was not Kaiba Corp stuff. Kaiba Corp had nothing to do with that. They had their own prototype and stuff they were working on. What if originally Pegasus had the contract with Goha for hologram technology, and they made the dual platforms from the original, which I still think looks super fucking cool, by the way. They made those platforms But when Kaiba came along with the Duel Disc, and also, mind you, at this point, Pegasus is in a coma, so anyone can just say whatever they want, the contract then went to Kaiba Corp, and when Goha tried to compete with Kaiba Corp, they couldn't match his designs because he said, oh, motherfucking Kaiba, goddammit. And they just, gave up, threw everything in a landfill, and decided to turn their technologies onto taking over social control. Sure, let's go with that. It makes enough sense. And remember, 80 years in the future, these are 11-year-old kids. To them, this does seem like an ancient archaeological site. If everything was just dumped there for 80 years and refound, yeah, it would probably feel like ancient historical tech. So that is my cool world-building theory. You heard it first. It's a game theory, or a card game anime. Let's just move on. So yeah, they get to this place, and then Asuna and crew show up, and it's time to duel. Oh yeah, maximum Shokan, everybody. Let's go. Let's do this shit! It doesn't go quite the way we're expecting it, and I quite like that. First up, I like the detail when Asuna flat out says she wanted to face Yuga with maximum summoning. She wanted them to be on equal footing, and it really bothered her she had to be a little bit underhanded and use cards he at the time did not have access to. A lot of times this cliche one used in shonens and a lot in Yu-Gi-Oh! Can sort of not work, like honor and all that stuff. But what makes it work is we actually establish that Asuna does have honor and a sense of tradition and respect and all these things. We took the time to explain this is how she is. So I believe she'd only feel Yuga was worth beating if they could fight on equal footing. That is a neat little character building detail. I also like that she isn't just stupid like the Goha people. She knows that Yuga is going to find a way to surpass her or try and come up with a clever scheme. So she kind of fed into it. Because remember, I had said how did Sebastian and Kaito, the pervy robot, get away? What if, or at least this was the impression I got here, Asuna not only knew that they were leaving, but she full-on expected Yuga and crew to get away from the mines, get to this duel disc, and find the accessing the cards needed for maximum summoning. She figured he was that far intelligent and that far ahead, but that idea of respect and honor is so important to her that she just let it all happen. Normally, this would bug the fuck out of me, but because they, again, like I keep saying, they took the time to establish this is her personality. So you know what? It makes sense. She sent Kaizo, that's his name, to go to Nail, to get his Cyberse dragons, brought him to Yuga. Yuga was like, fuck that shit. We're getting over the last asshole to use Cyberse in this franchise. So he said no. And I know it's supposed to be this big thing, Yuga wanted to use his own maximum powers and that he was able to find three still working ID cards. That's an interesting little detail to think about, though. Not every ID card is compatible, which makes me think it is just genuinely the combination of ones and zeros that makes up a card's barcode and all that shit just has to be conducive. Just an interesting little thing right there. But yeah, no, he's like, I want to use my own powers and do all this shit. The thing is, if it were me, because I've had it before, I've loaned cards to friends and thinking to myself, oh no, they better not lose it. I remember I was actually able to, by luck, pull 2 ashes and got the third one from a friend who owed me money. So there were a few regionals in a row where I couldn't go, but friends wanted to use my ashes. And I remember one of them was like, oh, I never even drew into it. I was like, you motherfucker, I let you use this, you didn't even use it back! So yeah, no, that's that little thing there. And then the duel commences, and everything is based around getting to their maximum cards. I want to wrap this up. But yeah, no, and then when the maximum cards go up against each other, they begin to disintegrate, because remember, they're being used with 80-year-old freaking credit cards or some shit. That is what is going on here. Of course they'll disintegrate, which puts this duel in a really interesting progression because their entire strategies were based around getting to their maximum cards, and it's not going to work. And this is right after building up. Holy shit, Yuga did it. He remade his maximum cards. That's so fucking cool. But things are going in a different direction, and I want to fucking see it. I'm really curious to see where this duel is going to go, what's going to happen. That Yuga versus Nail duel was so fucking epic and awesome to watch. I don't know what this duel's gonna do next, but damn it, I need to see it. So anyways, that was Yu-Gi-Oh! 7s this week. I know we spent a lot of time on one particular subject, but I think it's something I wanted to talk about for a while now, so yeah. And as for the TCG question of the week, no sooner than March 1st has begun, which means all the fucking Yu-Gi-Oh! Live streams are just, where's the ban list? This week, though, in ban list talk, a funny little thing happened on Friday. A friend of a friend decided to troll everybody and make a fake ban list, but he made it look so real and plausible that it actually was really fucking cool. So my interesting little question for all of you, have you ever fallen for a ban list fake leak? Or did you maybe like panic buy into something because you thought it was getting banned? Or have you ever like forgotten something had either been restricted or unrestricted? Because I remember that first local when Stratos got banned and I thought it wasn't really happening, and yeah. That was a thing that happened in my life. So yeah, tell me about that below. And as always, click to like, click to subscribe, and join me next week for not a maximum duel. I'm pretty excited.